Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a kit building video. As you can see, we're going to be building the HO Scale Rix Products Modern 150-foot Highway Overpass. Before we begin, let's go over a few things we're going to use today in this kit building. So as you can see here, the tools and paints and other things I'm going to be using to build this kit. On the top left, we have some acrylic paints, we have some spray paint, we have some brushes, we have a straight edge and a 90-degree angle. Coming down, we have some Xuron track nippers, which are good for cutting out plastic kits as well. We have some needle nose pliers, we have some testers, liquid polystyrene cement, we have some super glue, we have some X-Acto knife blades, some tweezers, some X-Acto knives, a pencil, and a pair of scissors. Over here on our left, we have all our kit pieces out of the package and organized into their individual groups. So now we're going to go ahead and detach everything, clean things up, read our instructions, and get started. An important thing to do before building any kit is to give the instructions a thorough read over. After doing so, you want to go ahead and organize your parts into separate piles. And then we can go ahead and start removing things from their sprues. To start off building this kit, I'm going to start assembling one of the pier sections. Now in this kit there are 4, so I'm going to have to build multiple piers. But to start off, I'm just going to build one. Here we can see all the parts are still on the sprues. I'm going to go ahead and remove all these pieces from the sprue and clean up any flash. As you can see, there's a little bit of flash right there. Another nice thing to have when you're building a kit is a cold drink. Now that all the parts have been removed and cleaned up, we're going to begin gluing. Another tool that I forgot to mention in the previous part about the tools and other things we'll need to build this kit was an emery board or a sanding stick or whatever you want to call it, but you can see it there on the right. That's helpful for cleaning up parts and sanding down things that need to be flush and all sorts of good stuff, so don't forget that, it comes in very handy. So now we're going to begin gluing the parts together. I'm going to be using the Testors polystyrene cement. I'm not going to video me gluing it because it's kind of tedious, so I'll show you snippets of where I get to when I get a chance to film. So let's get started. Hey guys, as you can see, we've now got the main components of one of the piers assembled. Next, we're going to go ahead and actually assemble the pier. Now, these piers are adjustable, and I'm not exactly sure how you're supposed to align them, and I want them all to be the same height, so I'm probably going to assemble the rest of them to this point, and then I'll finally set them in place and set them at the correct height and do final assembly then. So I'll be back in a sec to show you what I've done. Now that I've got the piers assembled for the majority, I'm going to move on to the I-beams and the flat beams that support the roadway and the deck. I'm going to be prepping these for paint, and I'm going to paint them that green Rust-Oleum Painter's Touch spray paint that we saw earlier. I'm going to leave these piers alone for now till I can get them in place and adjust them to the correct height so that my largest trains can run underneath them. Alright guys, we're outside now. We've got all the I-beams and C-beams in this top of the shoebox here. We're going to go ahead and shoot them with the green paint. So I'll show you what they look like after I'm done. So here's what they look like after one coat. I'm going to go ahead and leave them to dry in the sun for a little bit, and then I'll come back and give them one more coat, take them inside, clean them up, and we'll continue building the kit. Alright, so we're back inside now. Next step is going to be the final assembly on the piers, and I'm going to check those against the height of some of my tallest pieces of rolling stock to make sure they can all negotiate underneath it. Then we're going to start assembly of the road deck. and then we'll move on to final assembly. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so right now I'm working on assembling these pier pieces, and what I want them to look like is like this. But for a few of them, I'm having trouble getting these uprights to actually fit into the holes in the lower foundation part. So what I have to do is take my sanding stick and actually sand down the seams where I glued these pieces together, and hopefully that should help them fit into the bases a little bit easier. Once they're in place, I'm going to make sure that they're all a uniform height, and then I'm going to go ahead and glue them into their final position. So you can see that all the piers are now in even uniform height. So next we're going to continue on with the deck and the road. So instead of building this as one single highway overpass that's quite large, I'm actually going to build it into a larger one and a smaller one. So I'm really going to be building two of these. I have glued this joint right here with the Testors polystyrene cement. And next what I'm working on is cleaning up all of these I-beams and C-beams so that the polystyrene cement can adhere them to the top of the roadway. So in doing so, I have to remove the paint from the painted I-beams. And what I'm using is I'm just using an X-Acto knife to scrape the paint off. Once I've got all the paint scraped off, I'm going to go ahead and glue these on, and I'll show you when I'm done. I've now got all the I-beams glued on, so we're going to let these dry for a little bit, then we're going to flip it over and attach the barriers on the side of the road. The last thing left to do in assembling the roadway deck is to add the barriers or guardrails. As soon as I'm done with this, I'm about done with the kit until I can get it placed on my layout in a more final position. Before I call this kit completely done and ready to put on my layout, I'm going to go in and detail it a little bit. As you can see here, I've just taken some black acrylic paint and a very fine bristled, fine tipped paintbrush and gone in and added some crack lines and darkened up the areas where they might put tar or the expansion joints or whatever. I might actually go back later and put a black wash on the whole thing to kind of just darken it a little bit from the tires or whatever. But that's what I'm doing on the road deck. What I'm going to be doing on the piers is I might actually add a little bit of hand-painted graffiti on the larger abutment section, I guess, because I know you see a lot of that along the railroads. So that's what I'm going to be doing to really kind of detail this kit. So to give you an idea what this will look like when it's finished, I've set up a section, the shorter section of this highway overpass kit, on a small diorama I'm currently working on. As you can see, it spans over the track, and it looks pretty darn good. It's a little bit tall, but that's how I want it to be. That way I can get double stacks to fit under, and I can get locomotives and all sorts of cool stuff. So yeah, here's a different angle. It came out nice. It's a fun kit to build. It's pretty simple, so if you're just starting out, I'd recommend putting it together. I used the Testors liquid polystyrene cement, and it was very easy and very nice to work with. This is probably going to wrap up this video, guys. Thanks for watching. A layout update is coming soon, so just stay tuned. Thanks again, guys. Have a good one.